All right, everyone, welcome to Deep Dives with Dogs. Today's topic is kind of about this whole build up to the Civil War, but the small things that kind of just build the anger between everybody. Some of those being the admission of states, what states are slave states, what states are free states. And that kind of happens quite a bit. There's quite a bit of small things in there. Really piss everybody off, As they say, though, if no one's happy, well, then everyone's happy. But no. So building up to the Civil War, obviously, slavery kind of became quite the contentious issue. And I get it. It's not really something that should have really existed anymore, but I get why people are, let's say, upset by it. Slavery in America had always been kind of a complicated topic. You have smaller things like there was the idea by the founding fathers that, hey, slavery, it's not great, but a lot of them didn't feel like they could get rid of it. So they said, well, what we can do is write a clause in that says when X amount of time has passed, the slave trade is illegal. And their idea with that was, hey, if the slave trade is illegal, well, then people are going to have to pay basically a lot of money to get slaves, because you can only trade them then within the country. That kind of idea. And then it'll kind of die this natural death. It's not a terrible thought, realistically. It makes a bit of sense, oh, hey, if I do X, well, then Y will happen. But that's not what happens. And it's not because that wasn't an effective strategy, though. It didn't happen because of the invention of the cotton gin, which I've talked about in the past, by Eli Whitney. Eli Whitney makes cotton gin, not necessarily to ensure slavery's survival, but kind of, in some ways, actually, to try to move on from it. But it's really just to plant cotton better, because cotton, kind of an annoying crop to plant. Also, look at Jasper out here. You see that butterfly over there? Oh, he's not chasing it no more. He was chasing it. Dang, that sucks. I didn't get that on camera. What a bummer. But yeah, so with the ending of slavery as well, slowly, with that idea, some people try to make new inventions to kind of replace them. But also you have things that are just trying to improve life in general. So, like I said, cotton gin, one of those inventions, just to kind of improve life in general. It plants cotton easier, picks it easier, that kind of stuff. Makes the whole process just a little easier. But what that ends up doing is it increases slavery, because cotton becomes super profitable then. Very easy to deal with now. Okay. So that builds up, and this idea of no slavery or pro-slavery keep clashing to a head. It keeps clashing and clashing and clashing. It's going to clash for a while. In many different ways. You're going to have the Missouri Compromise at some point. The Missouri Compromise makes it so that any state above the Missouri Compromise line is free state. Any state below it is slave state, or can be a slave state. Now, oh, look at that, problem solved. We're just splitting the country in half, basically. But that's not what gets held up at all. Not even a little bit. You have things like Kansas, for instance, you have people. Kansas is allowed to vote on the Kansas territory, more specifically. People in Kansas are allowed to vote for if they should be slave or free. And so people rush in, and then you get things like Bleeding Kansas, which is like a microcosm of what will become the American Civil War. It'll be like this, like, hey, look, see this fighting and all this? This will be the Civil War. And it really brings that to quite the point, where people understand very clearly, oh, shoot, you know. But yeah, you have people fighting over this. California actually is one of those states that really pisses everyone off, pisses off slave states specifically, because it's under the Missouri Compromise line, but it becomes a free state because they vote for it. And here's the thing: should states be allowed to vote for it if they're technically supposed to be slave states? Oh, well, who knows, right? That's kind of the issue. And then it's just this cascading of events. You'll have the Fugitive Slave Act, which will also be passed, which will be another one of those kind of like boiling point moments where it's just like people hate this rule. It is stupid. It basically means, if you don't know what the Fugitive Slave Act is, if a slave escapes from the South and he runs to the North, typically in the past that would have meant he was free. He's a freedman now. Ain't nobody gonna get him. It's not impossible for people to get him, but unlikely. What the Fugitive Slave Act does is it forces the authorities of the North that if someone comes to them and says, hey, I got a slave and I need you, you have to help find that slave. You have to help. And that really pisses off people in the North. So, yeah. So the Underground Railroad, which went up through Ohio, continues and goes on up through Ohio and up to Canada, where those people will be freed for certain. But yeah, the American Civil War is not this singular event. No war really is. The American Civil War has a lot of little points showing, hey, it's building up, guys. It's gonna build up. It's gonna happen. You keep pushing it, and we have a lot of weak presidents by the time during that whole period, and that really doesn't help. Actually, it pushes it much closer into that. But that is going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you have any ways I can improve on this video, leave a comment down below. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.